At this point, it's just like annual. YouTube, what's the deal? It's your girl Jahira, and I am back. How y'all doing? This is significantly easier for me. It is easier to go live than it is to record and do the stuffs and the editing and the uploading and God knows what else. And like, I am in no way set up to like effectively um, make that happen for y'all. So this is how this is working. And this was semi sort of impromptu. I knew I wanted to make a video. I've been dying to make a video for the longest time. But it's one of those like I'll have this great idea in my head and then it's like kind of like submerged under the 94,000 other things I have to do. But this particular situation occurred and I really wanted to get it across. I really wanted to kind of bring it to the table, if you will. Let me just start by saying that if anyone at all is still rocking with me, I really do appreciate it more than you know. There are a couple of subtastics who have sort of spilled over into my other social medias because I'm still very active on Facebook. I'm still active on Instagram. I do that sort of thing with a reasonable degree of frequency. So if you're around, that's awesome. Um, Hello. Love for Caramel, which is basically the story of my life. Um, so I hope everybody is doing well, and I am doing well. All is okay with me. It's been crazy busy. I am now in my last semester of college. Aww. And if I faint not and or get through biology, I'm gonna walk across that stage. So we are praying and believing for that. So y'all forgive this intensely hyper dog. Have y'all met Albie? I don't know if you've met my dog. I don't know. Come here. Come here. Murph. Woof. So, this is Schneedle, aka Albie. His real name is Albie. For some reason, I started calling him Schneedle. I don't really know why. Don't judge. You okay? Go. Um, but yeah, so let me just jump into this story time, y'all. Meanwhile, back at the ranch. So, I had decided to I had went out of town over the weekend and there was some stuff that I had to handle and like on my way back I wanted to have like a good time. Like it had been a while since I'd engaged in any kind of fun or frivolity, if you will. And so as a result, um I ended up stopping somewhere on my way back home just for one night, got myself a hotel room, the whole nine yards. But to get to sort of the nitty gritty, like it required a lift, like Uber, Lyft. I needed a lift. I needed a ride. And the ride was going to take me about 45 minutes. So, like, we order the car, and I'm in there with my homegirl. And she's sitting in the back seat, I'm sitting in the front seat, and then, of course, there's the driver. And the driver's. I should come up with we'll call him Doug. What the hell? You're Doug. So, Doug is driving, and Doug is a very, he's friendly. He's personable. He's, kind of like what you would want out of a driver if you're in the mood to chat. That's not always the case, I know. But yeah, like Doug is cool. We can get with Doug. So he's just talking up a blue streak, and we're kind of enjoying it, for lack of anything better to do. We're on the highway, so it's not like we're inundated with options here. So fast forward to Doug kind of sort of starts flirting ish. Not in a way that was super overt, but My friend is a mess, and she makes these little side comments that make me sound far more interesting than I actually am. And Doug was kind of just like chiming in, so to speak. And I'm laughing it off. I'm not really thinking too much of it. Like it's fine, you know, nothing major. Hello, Miri. Um, like it was cool. It was banter, you know. So nothing too cataclysmic or anything like that. And so the ride continues, and Doug is talking, and like I'm trying to think of one instance of what he said. Like it was one of those things where my girlfriend was talking shit, and I must have said something like "kiss my ass," and like Doug goes, "Can I watch?" You know, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, not super horrible, not super warranted either, but like this is me, and I've had a life, and I've certainly heard worse. Fast forward to the end of the ride, it was just like, thank you so much, da 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 da. Like I had a great time. It's been cool. I hope I run into you again. And I meant all of that. Don't get me wrong. And so I get out of the car and I go on with my night, tip him the whole 9 yards, whatever the case is. So fast forward to the next night. Now, mind you, I had a really good time out of town. It was desperately needed. And I enjoyed myself. Fast forward to the next night. I got a text from a number that I didn't recognize at first, but then like later on came to realize it was Doug. Like, I had a really good time driving you. I hope I see you again. And I, in my ignorance and naivete, really believed that it was just some kind of like follow up, like I've enjoyed myself. Now, here's the thing, and I should have mentioned this before. My friend that I was in the car with is a drag entertainer, and I am me. So to give y'all an impression of like how all of this can work, I moved through the world relatively, without, I experienced what is known as passing privilege, which is to say, if you did not know that I was a woman of trans experience, you wouldn't necessarily be able to ascertain it just by looking at me. However, when you are in a situation where someone is like clearly delineated as a member of the LGBT community, it does tend to cast aspersions on your own visual, which is to say that like having it's so blatantly obvious that this person is, that the person that you're with is under the rainbow, so to speak, people tend to look at you and wonder the same thing about you. And so in most situations, that doesn't bother me because, again, I don't have anything to hide per se. I'm just not advertising. So I say all this to illustrate the fact that I don't know whether or not Doug picked up on the fact that like we were both, you know what I'm saying, like LGBT community members or not. I don't have that answer. Bear that in mind as this story moves forward. So I get this text, thank you so much, it was great talking to you, hope I run into you again. And I just kind of, and it was from Doug, and again, I just sort of thought it was some kind of like follow-up, like I had a good conversation, hope I can have another one kind of thing. And again, it's worth mentioning that Doug, I'm sure, will make somebody very happy someday. That somebody would not be me. I just didn't feel, there was no there. Not that I'm looking for a there at this point, but like, there wasn't even a latent attraction. It was like, this is a nice guy, and the world needs more nice guys. So, I mean, that was great, but it wasn't like, what's good, shorty type, you know what I mean? So, I replied back, like, I had a good time as well, I'm sure I'll run into you at some point. The city is not so big that, this was a first and last situation. I'm going to need a ride again eventually, so shit, I'll see you around. Like, that's where I was in my head. y'all gotta forgive me. The winter weather and my lips are not friends. So I wrote that back to him thinking this was the end of it. It was not. So he writes me back like, yeah, you're really cute. I'd love to see you sometime and get together and snuggle. That is almost verbatim what he said. The word snuggle was definitely in there. And so I write back, I don't really know how to respond to this because I thought that he was playing around in the car. Maybe not. And I was like, laugh out loud. You're so silly. Like, it was just sort of, I'm trying to spare, I mean, shooting a shot in 2019 is not easy. And I don't want to be the person that, like, cuts somebody off at the kneecaps when they're making a concerted effort to be, flirtatious or assertive or whatever the case is. You know what I mean? So I'm like, how do I just kind of tried to brush it off to the side. That was the goal. Like, just sort of like compartmentalize, let him down easy kind of thing, like sort of sidestep the efforts he was making. And so I said something like, you're so silly. I'm crazy busy these days, but I really do appreciate the offer. Hi, Patricia. And then he writes, laugh out loud. Now I'm starting to realize that, like, everything is a sort of a laugh out loud. Like, I have a friend that does the same thing, where it's like, I'm telling the truth, but I'm trying to kind of, like, make it sound lighter, like, leave the door open for potential joking or whatever the case is. And so he's like, laugh out loud, and I bet you're a freak, too. And I'm all, okay. In my 3+ decades of lived experience, when they hit you with the, I bet you're a freak, the subtext is, I'm hoping like hell you're a freak. But the thing is, that label is so subjective. What's really super kinky to me might be like tapioca pudding to you. You know what I mean? There's no litmus test for that kind of thing. And so I said something to that effect, like, well, everybody has a different standard of what that is, so I really don't know what to tell you. And he writes me back, I'm hoping you'll let me eat your... I'm sorry, y'all. I'm hoping you'll let me eat your ass. Sorry. I'm really sorry for those who may be offended. I was offended. I'm hoping you'll let me eat your ass. So here's the crux of my dilemma here. Because this could go one of two ways or both. But it's generally one of two ways. You either worked out for yourself that I am a woman of trans experience and presumed based on stereotypes and tropes that I'm some kind of like hypersexual, anybody can get it, anytime, any place, whatever the case is, kind of chick. Or, and this is the one that I slightly suspect more of, you assumed that because I'm a full-figured woman, like because I'm a plus-size chick, that I do that whole, like, last mama on the couch, God, I'm so lonely, when will someone take me away from my... Like that whole desperation vibe scenario. Now, it's worth mentioning that, like, Doug was a sizable man. And there, for me, is nothing wrong with that. I don't know what kind of jackass I would be to be a big girl fat shaming somebody else. But it is one of those things where it's like, I just, I don't understand how somebody can go from snuggle to fuckboy in like 3.8 seconds. That boggles my mind. And so it's really like you either really thought that I was some stuck on horny trans chick or some why did no one ever ask me to dance at prom fat chick, and either way felt the confidence that it takes, despite however misplaced it might be, it do take confidence, felt the confidence to like go to the most debasing primal space with me, and I have no idea what your last name is. Like, I am not one of these waxing poetic kind of bitches that just lays on a chaise lounge and reminisces about days gone by and whatever happened to gentlemen and stuff like that. But it's really like, what has transpired that allows these dudes to genuinely believe that behavior and vernacular like that is acceptable? And I'm not some like 19, you know what I'm saying? I don't even want to cast aspersions on like younger people, but like, fuck it, I'm gonna say what I gotta say. I'm not some 19-year-old bitch that ain't never heard a compliment before. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I've lived, I've had quite a lot of life. I'm doing really well in that department. So how you believed that this was okay is completely unbeknownst to me. And I think it speaks volumes about the kind of world that we live in. First of all, if full-figured women are your thing, like, do your research, because we're not all like working our way through a tub of frosting waiting for Prince Charming to show up. And second of all, if women of trans experience are your thing, like, do your research, because this ain't Pretty Woman, and Richard Gere is not showing up in the white limo to like come rescue my ass because I've been through so much that like really, what were you expecting by way of a response? Eat my ass? You mean you want to eat my ass? Oh goodness, thank you so much. I thought you'd never ask. Like, how does that work? What part of the game? Oh, shit. What part of the game is that? Like, when did this become okay? And have I become obsolete because... Hello, Shuns Love. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. It's good to be back. I just don't get it. I don't get it, and I'm not going to get it, and there's not a God in heaven or a devil in hell that's going to make this make sense to me. Because whether I've been married for 15 years or I'm as single as a dollar bill in a vending machine, that's not cool. That's not cool. And so, like, the moral of the story is just, I wrote him back. After taking a very pregnant pause, I wrote him back. And I said to him, and this was very generous of me, I gotta say. I said to him, I don't know what kind of energy I exuded that left you with the impression that asking me something like that would be okay, but it's not. Thank you. If I require your services as a Lyft driver, I will reach out to you, and good night. Like, it was just, I was so taken aback. And I'm going to be 40 years old in less than a month. I'm just going to put it out there. You know what I'm saying? Like, the fillers have now been supplemented by some Botox, just putting it out there. You know, like, I'm not new to this at all, but I just cannot conceive of a world in which somebody who has known you for the better part of an hour feels secure enough in who they are that they would ask something like that of someone that they barely know. I just can't. So I wanted to tell y'all that. And I guess this whole thing, I mean, I'm not going to turn this into like some kind of Oprah-esque motivational speech, but like it really can be filed under know your worth. Like, know the hell out of your worth, because you, and I don't give a damn who you are or what you've done, you deserve better than what I experienced. Like, you do. You do, because I know I do. I am nowhere near the baddest bitch to ever do it. I am not everybody's cup of tea. That doesn't mean I'm not a fantastic cup of tea. I'm just not everybody's. But, like, no, it's not okay. It's really not. And, like, in the wake of the Time's Up movement, and in the wake of the Me Too era, like, we have got to start, you know, holding these jackasses accountable. Like, there's a huge piece around, like, who raised you? How did that become, I don't even know, yo. It's again, not going to make sense to me. What I do know for sure is that you teach people how to treat you in this world. You are the first example of how the surrounding world is going to receive you. The way that you interact and respond and resonate within yourself is a direct reflection of how everybody else is going to experience you. And they will respond in kind. You know, if you're the kind of person that can't take a compliment, eventually people are going to give up on praising you. That's just the way it works. If you're the kind of person who is secure in who you are, and that doesn't come at the expense of anybody else, which is what I strive to be daily, you know, that's the kind of energy that I attract for the most part. And I think that's why I'm making this video, because this specific incident was such a blip on my radar. It was so like, it was such an aberration that I never envisioned a scenario like that playing out, because I have an overarching expectation of respect towards me, because that is the way that I interact with me. And as such, like, that's the energy that I put out into the universe. And by and large, I receive it in return. So this was just some real neck shit, and I'm still processing it. I don't want to make this video like 900 years long, and I don't want to spend like an overt amount of time explaining where I've been. Y'all know where I have been. But this will happen again soon. And for those of you that were live with me, I really do appreciate your being here. That's incredibly cool. And for those of you who will watch after the fact, I deeply appreciate your showing up. Wherever you go, please take my love with you. It's not going to be another year before you see me again. I can promise you that. Take care, be well, know that I love you. And as always, y'all, one love. This was cool.